I don't know. I've thrown up some seriously chunky stuff before.
Well, that's not a conversation we should be going into.
I'm gonna say, like, I've had bad burritos at Texas gas stations, and yeah.
Do you ever a situation where you get a burrito?
Mhm.
This is one of my pet peeves in life. You get a burrito. Doesn't matter chicken, beef, doesn't matter what it is, but you start to bite in it. First thing you get is sour cream land.
Okay.
And you get sour cream land, and you're like, where's the fucking meat?
It's like they built it upside down.
Well, yeah. Like, who does that? And then you get to like lettuce land.
Yeah.
And then to land of tomatoes.
Yep.
And then all meat.
Like somehow they managed to build it while it was already wrapped and shove everything in instead of laying it out.
That's right.
Sideways.
And then
tube, yeah.
And then you get the guac island.
Guac island.
Hey, look, ain't nothing wrong with Guac Island.
Well, that's okay, but it should have other shit. Like, should
Yeah.
have your protein in there, maybe a little sour cream, make it a little more creamier.
It should be mixed.
Yeah, man.
A well-made burrito
Oh,
definitely it's in layers, not strata.
Dude, you're not
That makes
supposed
any sense.
you're not supposed to build a burrito like a fucking pack of lifesavers.
I agree with that.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yo, step right in, it's a funky display. Talking shit, today's the vibe we portray. No filters, no rules, just letting it flow. Strap in, folks, it's the shit show. Welcome to the shit show, buckle up tight. We dropping raw truth, keeping it light. Laughs and chaos, that's how we play. Talking shit today, all night, all day. Day, 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 day. All day, 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 day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yo, step right in, it's a funky display. Talking shit, today's the vibe we put.
Lumpy, I guess welcome back. We're here. We've got a great show in front of us. I cannot wait to get Stephen Lowry on.
We're excited.
Yeah, seriously. Old Dominick, we all met him when we were at the Orlando Whiskey Fest.
Indeed.
And
Good dude.
That double oaked, that 8-year. I can't wait. And guess what? You and I will be able to get that again in just a couple more weeks. But you're going to be going to listening to some music because you have to go listen to music instead of go drink whiskey with us.
I'm going to be drinking whiskey while listening to music, so bite me. It won't be as good, but
Which, by the way, welcome back, Big Red. You
Yes,
are
sir.
now
What's up?
becoming a regular part of the show, and we're glad to have you. So that's really fantastic. And of course, housekeeping as usual, because this is the shit we always forget. Like, follow, comment, share. Let everybody know how much fun you're having listening to Talking Shit Today, wherever you find your podcast, and share the word.
Indeed. So I got to say, Red, you poured us a little something. Tell us about what you poured, because that really tasted like Grandma's peach pie.
oh yes, I put the bottle away, but that was the oak and amber that we got from the the Whiskey Warriors Barrel Club. I promise it was a small pour. The one in an earlier episode, we heard Big Mike talking about the pick they did with it, and believe me, that is peaches from top to bottom and all the way through. It's called Grandma's Peach Pie for a reason.
That was very tasty. Very tasty.
It was probably one of the fruitiest things we've had that was not specifically a fruit whiskey.
I liked it. Can't wait to have some more.
I will be.
Righty whitey.
So, Lumpy, welcome back.
What up, X?
What episode are we up to now? What is this?
462.
462.
Just kidding.
Jeez, that seems like it's been forever. No, I think we're at 18.
Yeah.
So I can't believe we got 18 episodes into this. And welcome back, Big Red Whiskey.
What's up, y'all? 18, legally old enough to vote.
Oh, God, let's not go there. But that is a fantastic milestone for us. And sky's the limit. Our last episode, I just have to give a quick shout to everybody that listened to it, is now the most played episode that we've had so far across the audio platforms. And on YouTube specifically, it is the most watched video that we have as a complete audio file. So very, very, very cool.
Woohoo!
So nothing but up as we go. And I want to welcome our special guest this week. We've got Stephen Lowry representing Old Dominick Distillery. And Stephen, would you like to tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Sure, yeah. So I recently moved from Knoxville, Tennessee down here to Central Florida to open up the state for the brand, which I'm very excited about doing. I've been into bourbon now for about 16 years, and what really got me into it and was fascinated with it was the history of how bourbon influenced the U.S. and in school they tell you about the whiskey rebellion and everything, but you don't really know what that means until you start drinking whiskey and like, oh, I get it now. And so I thought that was pretty cool. So it got me into bourbon. Just started really digging into Kentucky stuff, of course, because that's what was around in 2010. Tennessee had just started to get their distilleries up and going again because of legislation. We only had 3 distilleries in the state, and that would be George, Dickel, Jack Daniels, and Pritchard's. And Chattanooga Whiskey down in Chattanooga made a big deal about vote for whiskey, and so they led that campaign to get distilleries open again to where we could start distilling and stop sourcing. And after that, man, the state just took off. And I got on board with old Dominick, fell in love with them in 2019. Their Huling Station line they did. They had a high rye bourbon, which we still have the high rye bourbon, just not MGP anymore. It's made now in Memphis in-house. We do not source anything. And I had to turn around after I took a sip of it at a music festival in Nashville and go, what is this? And started talking to them. And I have a bourbon club, or I guess I had a bourbon club in Knoxville, and immediately went live in that group. It's like, if you see this bottle on the shelf, buy it. It was a $40, 100 proof, 4-year-old delicious whiskey. So I just said, hey, let's just do this. And I just kept, bugging them to hire me, and they finally did one day because I believe in what they're doing. They make a great product.
That's awesome, man. You sound very passionate about it as well. What were you doing before you found your way to whiskey?
So I had done a lot of work in like multimedia stuff, like hanging TVs, did car audio for a long time. Anything electrical I was doing, not electrician, but just the fun stuff of being electrical.
The low voltage stuff, right?
And stuff like that. Yeah, I love the low voltage, man. Started off with the car audio, worked my way into home theater because car audio was dying. Because the new cars had everything in it. I don't need to put a remote start in a brand new car. Cadillac comes with them now, standard. And so I saw that coming and got out and got into home theater. And after that, I got into a position to where I was working, for this small mom and pop place near my house. We had a state contract for Promethean interactive whiteboards. I led their multimedia department, dealt with subcontractors across the state hanging interactive whiteboards in schools. So that was pretty cool. After that, I had a buddy that did paintless dent repair, and he goes, hey, do you want to stop working for somebody and come work for yourself? And so he taught me how to do paintless dent repair. I did that for about 9 years, and old Dominick said, hey, do you want to do tastings for us in Knoxville area? I said, sure, man, I would love to go into the liquor stores, just do tastings in the afternoon. And that got me into a part-time position with him doing sales for a few hours a week. And I just mentioned, hey, you guys open up Florida, I'd like to go. And they said, all right, go. And so they brought me on full time last November and trained me up to get ready to tackle the state. So excited to be here.
You said they called you and asked if they wanted to do tasting and stuff, and all 3 of us opened our eyes. We're like, man, I want a distillery to offer me that job. That sounds amazing.
It was awesome. I knew so much about the brand before. I knew these guys, and they knew that I was working hard to promote the brand for nothing. I would just talk to everybody about it. Restaurants, just go, hey man, you guys should bring this in. It's a great product. Liquor stores, I would bring my own bottles that I bought in the stores and let them try it, man. I said, this stuff's great. Here, check this out. And they're like, oh my gosh, let's bring this in. And so that's how that got started. And after that, it's funny because Leaper's Fork Distillery, which is south of Nashville, a little super small family-owned, another family-owned distillery. I think like 17 or 18 people work for that distillery. And they're like, hey, do you want to do tastings for us? And I was like, let me ask. I don't think I'm like under a contract or anything. I never signed anything, but let me make sure they're okay with that, because I never wanted to lose the old Dom position too. And I really respect the Leaper's Fork. They have a great product. And it's funny because I did reach out to our sales manager. Hey man, I just want to ask, Leaper's Fork would like me to do in-store tastings. Are you cool with that? And he's like, if anybody in the state we wanted you to work with, it would be, besides us, to be Leaper's Fork. So I said, you have our blessing. Because the 2 owners for Leaper's Fork and for old Dominick went to Auburn together, and they actually lived across the street from each other. So they know each other. So they're very friendly with each other. And I thought that was awesome. So I started doing Leaper's Fork, and after that, some other ones popped up. And yeah, just doing a bunch of tastings for a while in stores for Nelson's Greenbrier, 4 Branches. There's some tequila brand I did for a while in and a whiskey brand for a local distributor. And then I just told them I couldn't do it anymore when I started working part-time and just started focusing just strictly on Old Dominick all the time.
Well, that's a fantastic story. And what I love the most that you said was how one brand was supporting another. Very recently, I watched a great documentary on the history of bourbon specifically, but whiskey in general. And one of the things they were talking about is how close-knit the community is, even amongst bigger brands, because everyone's trying to do the same thing, and how the smaller guys are really propping up the bigger ones because they help keep the interest in the industry going for the consumer, especially as the tastes have been changing. So I love that. Absolutely. And the fact that they kind of grew up alongside each other is even better.
Yeah, the cool thing about being in Tennessee, and I've met because of we have the Tennessee Whiskey Trail. A lot of people don't know about that, but it goes from Memphis all the way to Bristol. Distilleries across the whole state, and they actually they do more business than the Kentucky Bourbon Trail does. They did 8 million visitors on the Tennessee Whiskey Trail in 2024, while Kentucky only did 2 million. So we did 8 times the visitation in Tennessee over Kentucky. And just going to these things, like I have an event. We have events all the time, like Whiskey Trail events across the state in different areas. So if you live, like say in Memphis, they're doing one this weekend called Roar and Pour. They'll go to the Memphis Zoo. Anybody that's in the Tennessee Whiskey Trail will come over, set up, and you just pay a price and you go and you get to sample across the state is the way I like to look at it. And try a bunch of different brands you may not have heard of or been able to try before just because of distribution. But they have one in Townsend, Tennessee, which is in the Smoky Mountains, called Grains and Grits. And I used to go to that all the time as just a person buying a ticket. And so finally, when I started working for Old Dominick, I got to work it. And I just had so much more fun working the event than just going around and drinking. But I got to know a lot of people from all the distilleries that are in the state. And that was just an amazing experience. I mean, when Jeff Arnett left Jack Daniels, where he's the company distilling, and companies out in Townsend, Tennessee, is one of their main tasting rooms. And, you can walk up to Jeff Arnett and just talk to him, ask him about his hot rod cars or whatever. It doesn't have to be whiskey. And that's pretty cool just to be able to know people like that.
Yeah, I agree. We like to refer to ourselves as basic bitches when it comes to bourbon, only for the fact that we've been doing our thing here. Obviously, the podcast we've announced, this is episode 18, so we're still relatively young in this podcast space, but bourbon in general, we've only been at this for a couple of years. And I still remember my first tater that I got. I remember why I shit on that tater now, just because it's not all that fantastic.
Must be Blanton.
Yeah, you got it exactly.
How'd you know?
So I remember...
Been there.
The very first bottle that I got myself into actually was Wild Turkey 101, and I didn't love it. But then after that was a Oaken Eden bottle that I had gotten, and it was stay finished, and they sent it with the stave, and it was okay. Especially going back to it a couple years later, it was okay. But we love the stories that this has, and one of the things I think you'll go on about is you don't need to get that tater. There's some excellent pours that you can get at $40 or less a bottle.
Oh, yeah.
So, and speaking of...
I agree. And
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and speaking of those wonderfully priced, really great pours, you were gracious enough to supply the show with some samples to go on through a lineup. And I would love for you to take us into our first pour when you're ready.
Sure, and I'll just go ahead and preface this and how I'd like to do it. I'd like to go ahead and do the 85, the TN85 first. Then we'll go to the bonded. After that, we'll jump to the 90.1 proof, and then the cast strength. And then we're going to do that big bottle I gave you guys.
Yeah.
And then we'll end up with a toddy at the end.
So I have a question. Are you pouring yourself something this evening? And I have one more thing to say before you say that. Hey, Steven.
All right.
What's in our glass?
What's in the glass? What's in the glass? Sip slow, talk slick, made the good times last. Clink it one time, then we run that track. Talking shit today, what's in the glass? 2 mics, 1 vibe, big grin in the room. You know Notes in the air like a baseline groove. Sniff, sip, then the truth gets passed. We don't start the show till we answer. What's in a glass?
What's in our glass? So the glass tonight that I will start off with the 85 proof, just like you guys. I'm going to go through this just like you guys are, 4 for 4.
Awesome.
I like it. Let's go.
All right, you guys ready? You got your glasses poured up?
We
are.
X has just loaded himself up.
Yeah, we are all poured up.
All right, so I'll tell you about this one. So the Tennessee 85 was released. That and the Bonded was released in 2022, toward the end of 2022. So I started doing tastings for them in April of 23.
Okay.
I luckily got invited to go over to the distillery for the launch party. So the 85 proof for the Tennessee whiskey, they're both the Tennessee whiskey mash bill, which is 75 corn, 13 rye, 12 malted barley. I'm going to say something really controversial here. I can't wait to read the comments, but Tennessee whiskey is bourbon, straight up. It follows all same basic rules that bourbon does. The only thing that's different to call it Tennessee whiskey is that it is aged in Tennessee, distilled in Tennessee, and it must go through the Lincoln County process, which is just touching sugar maple charcoal.
Yep.
So there is no law on that as far as how much or how long it has to touch the sugar maple charcoal, just like there's no really rule or law on how long the bourbon has to stay in the barrel or touch new charred oak. With the Lincoln County process, Jack Daniels goes through 10 feet. George Dickel goes through 13 feet of sugar maple charcoal. Leaper's Fourth uses 3 feet. And we use a tube attached to the side of our still that is about 2 feet long and about 10 inches wide, and that's it. So 2 seconds it touches the sugar maple charcoal, and that's all it has to do. And we do the same process off the still for our vodkas and our gin too. They all go through the Lincoln County process.
Okay.
I've had that discussion with people about that Tennessee whiskey, and my theory on that is if you consider something that's like a finished bourbon where they age it and then they age it in another barrel, still a bourbon, I don't see why the Tennessee whiskey is not a bourbon. It's the same process.
And the thing is, it says that you can't add anything to it. So sugar maple charcoal is going to strip some stuff away from it. Some of the lipids, some of the fat. We did not want to do that. We thought that it didn't need it too much. And so to me, it turned out perfect. We do not chill filter anything also. And, everything we do for the whiskey side goes into the barrel at 110, and we use a char 4 on that too.
So right? I would say
with that being said.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Stephen.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that the Tennessee whiskeys we're going to try, released in 2022, it is the first whiskey distilled in Memphis from grain to glass since Prohibition.
I love that.
So I think that's pretty awesome too. Yeah. And it was by the first female master distiller we had in the state too since Prohibition, and that was Alice Castle, who has now left us to go back to Kentucky, and she's working for Buckner's now. But these Tennessee whiskeys are her first whiskey that she's done.
I did see that, yeah. So, well, this is awesome.
So I think that's pretty cool.
We're all getting into it. We're looking at the legs on this, which she's got pretty legs, for sure. So, on the nose, gentlemen.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, very light, very nice.
What I like about the 85 is it comes on super soft.
Yes,
and then all of a sudden you're going to get on the palate, like you're going to get vanilla. Like I call it like berries almost, like a berry medley. And then it goes into like the oak on the back end. And for an 85 proof, it has a great finish, which I don't usually find in anything in the 80s at all.
I agree. There are very few products that we've had between the three of us sitting in this studio that have really had the finish like this. I mean, the mouthfeel, really good. It's got a great mouth coat. It's got a great finish. It's got a great front side. The nose is light, but good. And you can tell from the nose that it is an 85, which is fine because you're not getting that ethanol hit. I like it, man. This is a solid product.
Absolutely.
That is my beach whiskey. That's what I call that. 'Cause I feel it's light enough to where you can stick a straw in that bottle, go to the beach, sit in the sand, and underneath an umbrella, and just drink it right out of the bottle. It's just that great.
So I have to relay a quick story as we were getting ready for our show here, and I'm collecting enough Glens so that way I can pour enough and not cross-contaminate. And of course, we've got water to, cleanse the palate and all that. But I'm looking at my cabinet and I see all these glass bottles with glass straws. I'm like, if I was drinking whiskey out of that, I wouldn't hate myself at all, but people might start judging.
Right. Yeah, sitting on the beach with a bottle in your hand, just sitting there with a straw in it. Yeah, people might judge on that one.
Well, you're in Florida.
Sipper. I know, man. I'm ready to get it out there for people to realize it's good enough where you could do that and light enough, but it just has flavor, which I love that flavor on that 85. It's so good. That's my hot day sipper right there for sure.
Sure. Well, and I'm a person who also likes to smoke my glasses, so I'm going to have to go back and try that with smoke and see how that affects it, because I agree. I think the flavor profile on that, I definitely got the vanilla. The berry was a little bit harder for me, but the oak on the finish for sure. Definitely a solid pour for me.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking the same thing right before you said it. I'm like, I could take this bottle out, poolside and just sit with the bottle in the pool, like up to my waist, and lean back, listen to some music, and just drink straight from the bottle. That's very much a Florida summer kind of drink.
Yeah, it is. It's I called it was the first time I tasted it. I was like, whoa. And they're like, what's wrong? I go, nothing. I go, this is like scary smooth. Like, I'm going to get in trouble with this bottle. It's that smooth and easy drinking.
There is nothing wrong with getting in trouble with a smooth bottle.
No, there's not. I agree.
So we're making the rounds right now with the bonded. That was next in the lineup, correct?
The bonded is, so when we first dropped it in 2022, Alex was going to do a batch series between 1 and 10. So we released 1 through 6, and then she left to go to Buckner's or Augusta. And so we stopped that process. And then we immediately put it out there as an everyday shelfer. Because what they did before with the series was they would come out, like one would come out in the spring, one would come out in the fall. Then they would do another, next year, 2 more drops. Now it's available on the shelf all the time. It's part of our core 4, which is the 85 bonded, the 90.1 proof bourbon, and the cask strength bourbon. Always out there, always on the shelf. That bonded won double gold at San Francisco last year, and so did the cask strength. And the bonded got Tennessee Whiskey of the Year last year.
Wow.
So that bonded is just fantastic.
The nose is telling me why to start with, but Lumpy, what do you see in the glass?
Well, great color. Great legs on this thing, man. Wow.
And what's the price point on these bottles so far?
So the $29.99 on the 85 and the bonded, so the 90.1 and the Tennessee 85 are both going to be $29.99.
You just tickled my pickle, sir.
They're both $49.99.
Come on, man.
Man, right?
Seriously?
Seriously, $29.99 for the 2 white labels and $49.99 for the cask and the bonded.
That is amazing. I have a whole lineup of my $40 bottles, and they can go up or down by $10. So, I'm okay with that. These have a perfect lineup there. I love that.
So where can we find any of these products here in Florida right now? Are they available?
They are not available yet, but we are getting close to wrapping up the distributor.
You have to look for a gray vehicle. You have to look for a vehicle with an old Dominick sticker on it. And if you see that, just, stop by. The gentleman's very friendly, I'll tell you.
So
we're coming. We've got doing single barrels already. Stores are picking single barrels. We've probably got 10 coming in the state soon. More to come. The demand is there. We just got to wrap up the details with the distributor, and that's it.
Yeah. So while we're getting into this glass, do you mind sharing a little bit about some of the picks you've been a part of here since you've arrived at Florida?
Yeah. So Space Coast down there in Melbourne has got a pick. There was a store in Gainesville. I can't remember the name offhand. He's done a pick. Who else? MDP just did. They were just there, and he picked 4 different barrels: 2 fueling stations, a wheat whiskey, and a finished. We do stay finished whiskeys too. The Tennessee whiskey, we do mocha stave or French oak, and then we do a toasted stave too. So he did those, and I know I got another store in Northeast Florida that's wanting to do some picks too. So they're coming through. The word's getting out there that people are doing it, and so hopefully by the time we launch the state, all these will be ready and they'll drop, and we'll get some more. Because single barrels, I love everything we do. Single barrels are super special, and the single barrels are priced right too. They're priced to move.
Yeah, they are.
We just don't want to, we want to give the whiskey to the people. We're not there to, we could probably charge more for sure, but if we can move more volume at a lower price, we'd like to do that too.
Well, I'm sold.
Good product.
Well,
Yeah.
not to boost up
I'm
any.
I'm sold.
Yeah, not to boost up any of your competitors, but I will say, without naming names, that the Tennessee whiskeys that I've had so far are all generally solid, and the price is really good. So I think there's something to be said for that. So, gentlemen, what are you guys thinking about the flavor here?
Bold. This is a bold product. Man, great finish. Great finish.
Yeah.
Hits a little stronger, obviously, as a bonded than the 85, but not like it doesn't burn. My nose hairs are still there. It doesn't burn my tongue. It coats. Got that wonderful oak finish that I love on a good whiskey. And this is just like, full disclosure, I mean, we've had a few samples of yours when we met at the Orlando Whiskey Festival, and we fell in love immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to have had all of these. I would have just hung out at your table the entire night. I'm not going to lie.
So, and I'll just
I
add to
appreciate
this. There's something about this that to me also has smoke to it. So as I like to add smoke to my drinks, I'm definitely adding smoke to this, and I'll have to tell you right away what I think as soon as I have it, because this got a smoky richness to it that I'm not sure that people will readily taste on other similar whiskeys. That is really fantastic.
I love the bond, and that's a 6-year-old product too, and so is the cask strength. Now the other two they're all small batches, and when I say small batch, I mean a very small batch. 6 barrels is all we use to blend those, and even the age on the 90.1 and the 85 proof Tennessee whiskey, those barrels that we use in there are between 5 and 7 years old. So
Okay.
we're not doing anything under 4 years old at all.
That really is amazing. And the price points that you said, like I said, you tickled all the pickles, man. That was fantastic. So what are we getting into next? We are so enamored with what we've had so far, we've kind of lost track. The cask strength or the 90.1?
So we're going to go to the 90.1 proof high rye bourbon. So when we were doing the fueling station line through MGP, we went to MGP and said, hey, this is our mash bill. This is what we want you to do for us. And they created it. But like I said, now we're creating that in Memphis. And that mash bill is 52 corn, 44 rye, and 4 malted barley. And that's for anything to do with bourbon on the label.
Oh, my word.
Except for one model.
I was going to say that is the bare definition of bourbon with that corn. And
It is the bare definition of bourbon. Yeah. We had the highest secondary grain of rye for a long time before MGP released one of the Remus high rye that had like malted rye or something in it. So that took us off the top. And I guess they said they couldn't have somebody else out there. If we can do it, let's just get the highest rye as secondary grain on the market. And they took the title away from us. So we held it for a long time, starting with the Fueling Station lineup.
What a great nose on this.
Yeah, I love a good rye nose.
Wow.
That 90.1, which is the area code for Memphis. That's why we called it 90.1, because it's 901 is the area code. But that is just, it's great, man. It makes great cocktails. If you like to make Manhattans or old fashions at home, that rye really stands up in it. 'Cause you get that spice on the back end of it. It's a little sweet up front to me, and then you get the spice on the back end. The rye kind of shines through on it.
Yeah, I love a good old fashioned and making them at home. So yeah, when this hits the shelves, I may pick up a couple and just slap a Manhattan sticker on the side of it, or an old fashioned sticker on the side of it.
It works great. It so does.
Yeah, I can say the legs on all of these, and I think it's based on your filtering process. The legs have just been wonderful on all of these, which lends to that mouthfeel. So, as far as your flavor, Lumpy, what are you getting?
I see what you're saying. You're getting that rye spice on the finish. It's not a huge rye. It's not a that typical. I call it typical, that rye hit in the front. That's a nice finish.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great front side. Wow.
Yeah, it builds.
It does.
Yeah, I think
that's very unique.
Yeah, I think that's the way to frame it, because I've had a lot of different ryes. I'm a fan. I'm especially a fan of high proof. So when I drop down in proof a bit and get into this very rye forward, what I think, Stephen, is most impressive to me about this pour is on the nose. It doesn't punch you, but you definitely know this is a rye right away. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're not going to be confused.
100%.
When you get this on the palate at first, like you said, it's lighter. Most of the time, like Lumpy said, the ryes that we're used to, it kind of punches you with that spice up front, and then you get to experience everything else in the finish, whereas this kind of finishes that way. It's that I like the build up a lot.
I don't know if I would have been able to, in a blind without knowing, call this a rye on the palate. The nose 100%, but then tasting it, I don't know that I would have called it a high rye, because it takes a minute to catch up. And yeah, X has a whole bunch of ryes that'll hit you immediately.
Yeah.
This builds up in a way that, for somebody who doesn't like rye, so if there's somebody listening to this who's not maybe a fan of ryes because of some of the experiences they had, give this a shot. This may change your mind on ryes, especially with the percentage on this one.
That's really good.
Right, and that is you can call that a gateway rye for sure. A lot of people jump to the Willet ryes, and man, they just burn me up. I can't. I can't do it. They're so hot and spicy.
I'm looking across the table at the studio, and somebody here gave me a Willet rye because he wasn't necessarily loving what he purchased. And I finished it. It was okay. So I'm with you on that. I know a lot of people really go after it, especially for the unique bottles that they sometimes have, or the partnerships that they sometimes have.
Right.
They're okay. They're good. I'm not going to knock anybody that loves them or goes after them, but I've certainly had better, and I would bill this as one of those for sure.
Yeah, I love our bourbon. It's fantastic. I do have to say that Tennessee whiskey is probably my favorite mash bill that we do. And you'll see why when we get to the big bottle. But man, our bourbons, we don't do a bourbon in single barrel. We used to do a bourbon single barrel, and we cut that program because we would rather keep the cask strength on the shelf at $50 than offer a $59 single barrel and take away from the stock that would be on the shelf.
Thank you. So you credited Alex for the first two expressions that we have. Was she also involved in the rye? Did I miss that?
So I don't think she had anything to do with telling them. She came to Memphis around 2000. I think it was 15, around there. They started working on the distillery. It could have been a little bit before then, because they built the distillery. She actually laid out the way she thought it should go in the design process. But they opened that in 2017. So what you're seeing now, like our 8-year reserve, I wish I had a sample for you guys for that. I had to save that for the Whiskey Riot in Orlando.
We'll be talking about that. Yeah, we'll be talking about that coming up.
Yeah, it was our first age statement like that, as far as like 8-year. That was a milestone for us, because we opened the distillery in 2017 and we dropped that last year. So that was like our 8-year. Hey, we've been open for 8 years. Let's do something cool, and that's where that came from. But I don't think Alex was there when they told MGP what to make.
Okay.
I'm not sure how they came up with that decision on that mash bill, but I'm glad they did, because that is just a fantastic product.
Outstanding. So I think we're ready to segue right into the cask strength now.
Let's do it.
So we're poured and ready. What would you like to tell the folks at home about this?
Oh, man. I want you guys to try it. So same mash bill, high rye, of course. It's just, it's a super special bottle. The first time I had the cask, it was in Memphis a couple years ago. The guys I work with had some before I had some. I was like, hey, who's got the new cask? Let me try it. And they went out to the car got the bottle out for their samples for accounts. And as they sat there and drank Miller Lights all night, I killed half a bottle of that bonded. I mean, I'm sorry, of the cask, just going, oh my God, this is so good. And it really is. What do you guys think that proof is?
120? No.
I was gonna say 118 or so.
Let's see.
It's 122.
I was gonna say 125 because the way you said it makes me think it's higher than we think it is.
Yeah, this is milder for me. I'm getting better at determining what the proof is based on how things taste, and this one fooled me for sure.
See, the thing about Memphis is, and I feel like, yes, that's going to have, that one has a lot more proof in it than the 90.1, but I really don't get that rye burn on the back end of it like I did with the 90.1 proof. The thing about Memphis is they have the U.S. best water consistently year after year, and they have a sand aquifer that's underneath the city. And it takes the water so long to get down to the bottom of it. They say that the water they're drinking now and you're using now in the city is the rain fell when Jesus walked the earth. So it takes a couple thousand years for it to get all the way down to the bottom. But I'm telling you, that water out of the tap is incredibly soft. I had to bring some home to my wife and say, you got to try this because it tastes like it's been filtered and it hasn't. They don't do anything. So I think because of that fact with the water, the whiskey is coming out incredibly soft. Climate of Memphis, we're a block off, the distillery is a block off the river, and it's super humid. If we have upstairs loft that we store barrels in, and we also have a giant warehouse down the road that we have some barrels in too. When they get closer to becoming of age, they'll bring them over to the loft, and man, I'm telling you that being up high with that humidity and those weather shifts over there, because it snowed there this year. By August, it'll be humid and hot because of the river, and it's just that climate is just making incredible whiskey.
Yeah, it really, really does. We're sitting over here, like, while you're talking, just staring at these glasses, trying to figure out how you all are putting out such an amazing product with a beautiful customer-facing, like, price point. Because by all counts, this cask strength could go for significantly more than what you're charging. And we're not telling you to do that, but it fully could deserve that price. We have had some very expensive bottles between the three of us that we share, and I would put this against several of those in a blind with people.
Well, I was going to say, just to go off of that, when we first met you, Stephen, it was at the Orlando Whiskey Festival before you moved down here. And the only expression that we had at your table was the double oaked, the 8-year. I had told you off air that I think that pour that I had was one of my top threes. And there was a 25-year from another brand and then a humidor from another brand. And I'm sitting here having this cask strength, wishing that I had that because that probably would have edged out the humidor. If not the 25-year from the other brand, it would have made two of your expressions at least my top three from our trip to the whiskey festival.
That's absolutely fucking amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The thing about the 8-year, which I worked a golf tournament last year for the Tennessee Whiskey Trail, and I had a free bottle. Like, hey, I was sampling people on it just to kind of get their feel on it. This is really great. It was great. And then they sent me the final product after it's been aged. So what they do with that, so that is the Tennessee Whiskey Mash Bill. And that is double oaked. So 7 years in the original and then put into a new, char 4 cask for another year. And man, that color on that, when they sent that bottle to me, I looked at it. I was like, man, this is super dark. Look how rich this is going to be. And I put it up against like a single barrel that had just side by side in the light. It was so much more darker.
Mm-hmm.
And I tasted it And I immediately told my wife, like, you need to take this bottle away from me and hide it. This is my sample bottle. I will absolutely drink this bottle. And it's funny because when I text the guys I work with, I said, oh my God, I said, we're an everything company. I said, everything we make is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's all different, but it's all good.
Mhm.
Like there's no like, oh, this is our, mediocre kind of deal. It starts off with the 85. To me, it works its way up. And I actually had a store in Tennessee on my route. The guys would come in there and like, hey man, you got any allocated blah, 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 $200 bottles. And the guy working in the store would be like, well, I can get you 4 different expressions off 2 mash bills for $160.
Right.
And he would sell all 4 bottles to somebody and just have them taste through the lineup.
Mhm.
And so here you go, man. You'll get more for your money by buying this than you would that one $200 bottle.
And that's the discussion that we often have is, I won't lie, I do have some bottles that are a little bit pricey and have, they're one-ofs, right? So, I think I have one bottle that came from a lineup. I've got 3 of 86, right? So those short runs that you'll never see again, I think that there's a place for it. But when you go through and you can spend $30 to $40 or $50 on something as solid as these, that's every day. Like you're turning excellent whiskey into a daily drinker. Daily drinkers, to me, really are amazing. I could go through a whole lineup of ones that I think are the best at $40. And man, these products that you've shared with us, they fit right in there, above, below. These are fantastic additions. And I don't think that one necessarily has to be better than the other. I think you can have a bunch of great bourbons out there, whiskeys and ryes. And I think this is, I cannot wait to see you on the shelf. That's all I can say. I cannot wait to go into Publix and say, oh, there's my old Dominick that I want to get because I'm running low.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, after the Orlando Whiskey Festival, when I got home the next day, I was telling my family, and I'm like, look, Old Dominick ever makes it to Florida, I'm keeping several of those bottles, especially that 8-year, on my shelf at all times because I will buy multiple from my liquor stores.
And I think the greatest thing about not just that it's at a very affordable price point, but man, one of the things that we go on about on this show a lot is that we are the fragile ones. And if you haven't heard the story, the quick recap is that, somebody gets a really expensive bottle as part of something for their work. And the son is like, well, hey, I'm going to save this forever. And the dad's like, why are you going to save it? We're the ones that are fragile. That bourbon's going to be here forever. So it's meant to share. So because we are the fragile, this is the right thing to share. So speaking of right thing to share, sir, you were gracious enough to share a bottle that I'd love for you to tell the story on as we pour it around the room.
Oh my gosh, this bottle. Yeah.
Ooh,
all right, so
over you.
That was a good pop.
Yes, sir.
So this is a single barrel it's a Tennessee whiskey mash bill. And I did this as a thing for my bourbon club. I worked with a store over in Knoxville, and I'm just saying, as someone that I can see what's in the warehouse for single barrel. I can tell what we have, and so I got on my app, looking through it, trying to find something special to do for them, for me leaving as my last single barrel pick for the group. And I saw this one barrel 16, and it was 137 point something proof Tennessee whiskey mash bill. And I said, send me that with a couple other ones, and let me go through them and I'll tell you which one I want. And so I did, and we picked 16, and I thought it was cool because it was Peyton Manning's number when he played for UT. So they called him the sheriff. So I don't do tater stickers, but I thought for the last one I would do, and I dropped this on Black Friday. That was my whole goal, was to get this picked in August and hold on to it. And then on Black Friday, we would drop it because not a lot of people are really doing anything special on Black Fridays for bourbon like they used to. Like it used to be the time when all the antiques were released, and it got to be such a pain to chase everything. Like these guys, you camp out all night for a George T. Stag.
Sure.
You're paying $400 for it, right? Or whatever the store's charging, 600, 800, maybe even 1200, who knows? And you get it, and it's good. I mean, it's solid, but is it a $1,200 bottle? No. So I was like, let's drop something cool. Cross our fingers that by the time it hits, it'll be a hazmat, and charge $59.99 the bottle.
Steven?
And so
I all I've done so far is nose this thing, and already I have dick butterflies.
Let me just say, so you said in the 130s, 139.79.
Yeah, 139.79.
Oh,
I was really hoping for a hazmat, and you missed it by that much.
yep.
You might as well be.
It might as well be. But yeah, so I dropped it, and we sold. Now we only had 16 cases. That's what the yield was from the barrel. Like, that's how much evaporation and angel share we had.
Wow.
So we got 16 cases out of that. And, when it's doing that and it's getting down there, it's just super concentrated at that point, like with evaporation. And yeah, we sold out in an hour at the store we dropped it at. And it's just, I had to get 3 bottles of it. I was like, this is just amazing. It's one of those ones that does not drink like 139 at all.
Nope.
Well, I'm a big fan of high proof anyway, and I have not gone in to taste it. So I'm going to turn it over to the gentleman here. So, Big Red, why don't you tell us what you're seeing in the glass and what you're getting on the nose?
So this is a beautiful color. I love a good dark whiskey, but this falls right in that middle line, that beautiful kind of amber color that people think about when they think of a good bourbon. And it doesn't seem as dark as some of the other ones we've seen. And immediately going in on the nose, I went in on the nose early, and my eyes rolled back, and I said, this is going to be something special.
Oh my God, that nose.
I'm getting a cherry on the nose.
I'm getting tons of dark fruit and cherry.
100%.
Tons of it.
Yeah.
This is probably the best nose of any bourbon that I've had in a long time.
That's a strong statement, sir.
It is.
This qualifies real high on the list of noses like I've had too.
Wow.
I've had some very strong, good ones. Even earlier today before we started recording.
Oh my God.
It's an incredible special bottle. I mean, seriously, it's just, yeah. I gave it to people blind, and they were going like, yeah, it's 110. 7 probably. And I'm like, no, it's 139. And they're like, oh my God.
I would have called 120, 130. But it doesn't feel that way. You feel a little bit of that burn, but in the right way that it's supposed to burn. And the taste,
right?
A borderline religious experience. I'm not gonna lie.
That is really good.
So, Lumpy, give us your thoughts.
My brain's still trying to catch up with my tongue.
So let me
say this, and I've heard it said, is that people like, so there's a restaurant back home that would do Whiskey Wednesday. He would throw that in, because when I did a pitch, I wanted to say, hey, to the distributor, let's take 3 cases and let's put it out on premise. So that way restaurants can get it too. And then the rest will go to, I used to split around stores. So I would do a group pick with my bourbon club, and the distributor would say, hey, who wants a case of their pick? Well, they would drop a case off it all. And not like one place had the whole barrel. Like, I didn't want to do that, because my idea of the whole thing about bourbon is a community. So to me, the group was a community, and I wanted to put those bottles out into the community to go to their own store to buy it. They don't have to go across town. Just go to the one you usually shop at and go buy it from there and support those guys too. So he would throw that into a blind, and he had it up against Stag one night. And the people there, he would tell me, and I would go sometimes to these. He's like, I wouldn't know what was going on. And I had one guy, and one of them I was there, and he was like, dude, that's your stuff. I'm like, nah, man, this was really good, but I don't know if that's it. And it was, but it got like, that was her top pick. Like, it was beating Stags on the blind. And I was like, dude, that's incredible. Like, there's something about that for sure.
So
especially
I'm going
at a $59 price point.
I'm going to connect you to some other people just for what we've been having tonight. Just that's going to happen. Let me just tell you that. So on the palate for me, that cherry, the dark fruit, the sweetness actually carries through. And this is what I love about hazmats. I am a hazmat Or
Fanboy.
Fanboy. There you go.
You were right the first time.
Yeah, you're okay.
So the highest proof I've been able to have so far is a 165.4 Wyatt Earp 13 year. Nobody else liked it. Literally nobody else liked it. And I think the reason why is because it carried with it some black licorice, which the second time I had it, wasn't the hugest fan of that part of the flavor. But what I love about a hazmat is it's behind the proof is a complexity that a lot of the other proofs don't have. There's something that goes into the process that allows for layers upon layers to kind of unfold as they work their way across your palate. And this is doing the exact same thing. So as I get it on the front side, that cherry carries through from the nose. The proof is there right away, of course. I agree. I don't think it drinks as hot as the label is showing. The finish is still there. I'm on my second sip, and the finish is still there as we're talking.
Indeed.
And then as it kind of mellows out mid and the end of the palate, that's where I don't even get a lot of oak on this. What I do get is the kind of I call it traditional bourbon, like that caramel vanilla-y kind of not toffee. This one is not real toffee or butterscotch to me, but it kind of finishes in that vanilla realm. So that's what I get out of it. I love this. I can understand why you like this bottle so much. This is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Now,
oh my God.
I'll say this too, man. I like you guys were talking before, Phil, about, what do I drink when I'm not drinking my product?
Mm-hmm.
I like Jack. The Bonded series is great. Give me a good Jack Rye single barrel. Give me your Jack single barrel. I like Leaper's Fork. What they're doing in their Bonded is fantastic. But for me, it's mostly Tennessee stuff.
Okay.
And I
no bias
love
there, right?
The JD single barrels. No, I really don't think about Kentucky anymore. Like, I really don't. Like, there's so many good things coming out of Tennessee that was just like Kentucky, whatever. Y'all do y'all thing. Tennessee is doing something unique. Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of distilleries that people have never heard of, but if you do the trail, you can try them. But I love the JD single barrels. Before I even worked for Old Dominick or did anything, when they did the barrel proof single barrels, I was like, these are great, but God, they're hot.
Dude.
Like, they would drink incredibly hot to me. But when I had our single barrels in Tennessee whiskey, I'm like, no, man, this is on a whole nother level of
that JD single barrel proof rye. That's probably one of my favorite bottles.
It's fantastic.
Oh,
it really is. That's the best thing I feel that they have going right now as far as like a daily thing that you could go to the store and get. Is their JD rye single barrels or just candy. But I was just like, when I had that, there's another one I have. It was 128 proof that the local store did. It was a 7-year-old, I believe. Man, I bought about 4 bottles of that. It was straight candy. They did our pick. They were one of the first stores in the area to do a Tennessee whiskey like that. And man, it was just so good and did not drink like it was 128.
So the cast strength, what kind of barrels?
What kind of barrels?
Yeah.
So, no, you're good. So to elaborate on that, we do West Tennessee white oak. So we use trees out of West Tennessee and we ship them off and have them make the barrels for us out of that. So that's what we're using for our barrels.
That's awesome. And then for some of your expressions, you're doing the distilling there. Are you doing the distilling for all of your expressions now, or are you still sourcing?
No, we do not source at all. Now, we still have some barrels left over of the Huling Station line.
Okay.
But that's a totally different label. When they first dropped Huling Station back in 2019 on the bourbon, they did put Old Dominick on the front of it, but they removed that on the next round. And because they wanted to separate, because they knew what was coming down the pipe. And they're like, we want to separate the Huling Station from the Old Dominick name, and keep them as 2 separate entities. But like I said, that Huling Station bourbon I had turned me on to the brand, and that bourbon, like you guys had, the cast strength, same mash bill. If you put them side by side, you can tell a huge difference in quality. And to me, the Memphis stuff, even though you're like MGP, everything they do is great, the Memphis stuff to me was just softer and more approachable And it was just more well-rounded as a spirit.
So is there a place that you're sourcing the grains from that is local, or is there any story there?
We do. We try to get regional grains too. We don't buy across the country. We try to get something so in that region around us, from whether it's Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, we keep it right there where we are.
Awesome.
This is damn tasty.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
It's ridiculous.
You mentioned people putting it against the Stags and stuff, and I have a couple of bottles of the Stag Juniors, and people who know the Stag Juniors is something they can relate to. Those oftentimes are cherry bombs. Like, without a doubt, you can pick those out in a lineup pretty easily. 100%. This qualifies right next to those in that same category with a higher proof, but it doesn't feel like you're drinking a higher proof than that bottle of Stag Junior I have sitting there that I post my, review of, and with the background music of, Warren's Cherry Bomb in the background, because that's what this falls in that same category. And I still have some in the glass because every time I take a nose or a sip, I just lean back and go, I can't, what is this? And my head just is still trying to wrap around it. And that is probably a sample that I'm not going to ever forget, even if I never get a chance to touch it again.
Hopefully we'll get some 8-year higher. Those go fast. I'll just say that too. It's a wonder I even got my hands on one so late in the year last year to be able to do that for the group. But hopefully we'll get some 8-year next year, higher proof stuff. Just the yield, man. The yield is just super small on those because of the climate, and there's a lot of angel share on those. So a lot of people kind of stray away from them. I don't know why, but those hazmats are just incredibly special from us. And we don't have that many of them. I think Bruzel did one, or a couple of them, and I think he may get some more this year.
Well, Bruzel Fest is coming up soon too, so yeah, we know that.
Yes, it is, and we'll be there.
Are you going to be there too? I'm jealous.
Yeah, definitely. We'll go down to it's in Alabama. Yeah, we'll go to Alabama for that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know the next place that we're going to see you at is going to be at the Orlando Whiskey Riot, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But we have reluctantly moved on from that near hazmat bottle, which
what the hell's a toddy?
Really fantastic. So yeah, tell us about this toddy.
So the toddy is what Dominick Canale, our founder, was doing, and he was actually sourcing whiskey. And he had a place that he was stored in that was Fueling Station. So that's where the name Fueling Station came from. That's why they used it first, for the first product. But he would make a toddy. And the toddy was his number one seller back then. It is cinnamon, clove, cardamom, black pepper, and citrus peel.
Yes, it is.
It is bourbon based.
It's in my nose.
And so he would
stuck his nose right in the glass.
So that's a low proof, so it's only 30% or 60 proof. And he was selling the Hound out of it back in the day. They had an unopened bottle of it, and they sent it off, and they told us how to recreate that. And so the only thing we're doing different than what he did in 1866 is when he started selling it, is the fact that he used fruit, and we do use sucrose. But you can see it's cloudy. We do not filter out the spices at all. We leave them in there, and it's all natural in that part of it.
Why would you do that to us?
It is.
Lumbie's
the toddy is awesome, and I use it in cider. I use it in like a bar spoonful in old fashioned to spice it up a little bit.
I can see that.
I have made homemade eggnog with it. Instead of using whiskey, I've used the toddy in it. It's super interesting and totally unique and different. People compare it to Fireball, but I think Fireball is greasy and gross.
Yes, agreed.
It's just kind of clean.
Cheers, of course.
It just has a good flavor to it. So that's our original product from the 1800s.
I make a hot toddy at home when my family is sick. When my mom or Mrs. Big Red gets sick, I'll throw together a hot toddy the kind of traditional way. I may need to start throwing some of my mulling spices that I keep into the hot toddy, because that's that's a cocktail in a bottle. Like,
that is really good.
It is. It is. You can, people drink it neat. If you want to sit around a fire on something low proof in the fall, you can sip it neat, put it on ice. I call it the gentleman's pumpkin spice latte because we will drop that around
Okay.
fall, like football season. When football season starts, we'll release it. It is it's good. My wife will put it in hot tea, and to make a hot toddy with it, all you have to do is take hot water, take some lemon juice, take some honey, and take an ounce of that and throw it in a coffee mug, and then you got a hot toddy.
Yep. And as a basic white bitch who loves his pumpkin spice, I could 100% replace my pumpkin spice with this and not be upset about it, and probably have a better day at work.
And at 30 proof, I think this is work appropriate.
100%.
Here's the question.
Oh,
you can
yeah.
actually drink at work?
Only if you don't get caught.
Well, so the trick to that is, Lumpy, especially when you're in a Teams meeting like many of us are, all you have to do is blow on your cup. No one's going to know that it's not coffee.
Put it in a coffee mug.
That's right.
That is true.
I have to say, I'm a fan. This is, and Big Red, I think you have made some concoctions that you have sent people out with after parties that this reminds me of. That. This is reminiscent of that for me.
Yeah, I have made homemade beverages, shall we say. And yeah, the spices used in this definitely remind me of that, and that's probably why I'm having such a good time, like just smelling this and going, what can I use the information here? Like when I make my stuff at home, use some of this information. I was like, I have mulling spices and such, so I may have to add some of that to my next hot toddy the next time one of us gets sick at home.
But I can tell you, I know exactly why you said do this one last, because it does have a very strong flavor.
Stick with you.
Yep. Well, Stephen, thank you very much for the lineup.
Hell yeah.
That was
You're welcome.
really, really, really fantastic. And we're doing our very best to be good boys here. So we've got a little bit left so that way we could enjoy post the show. The winner for me, no doubt, is that 139.79 proof.
Hell yeah.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
I poured the biggest pour of that bottle, knowing ahead of time that was going to be beautiful, just looking at the bottle.
Absolutely. And then, so that one's never to be had again, right? That was a particular barrel that was picked?
Correct. That was a single barrel. Like all single barrels,
Yep.
they're all going to be different.
So I cannot wait to see another single barrel coming out of Old Dominick, and I want to be part of it. So we do not have a barrel club or a bourbon club or anything like that. We're all part of the Volusia Bourbon Society. So we will have to let people know in VBS that they should reach out to you, and they should definitely set a pickup.
And we will definitely be talking to several of our local liquor stores once you let us know that the product is available in Florida to buy many and keep it on the shelf.
You need to reach out to Kenny's Liquors.
I was just going to say Kenny's.
I
Yeah.
heard about Kenny. He's on the East Coast, right?
New
There's Kenny's on
Smyrna.
the West Coast, too.
Yep, New Smyrna.
New Smyrna, yeah.
So he's in New Smyrna. He's actually got 7 locations now in total.
He's got multiple, but New Smyrna is the one that we go to for the most part.
Yep.
Yeah, they have a spirit station there. You know what that is?
Is that where you can sample all the product?
Yep. We end up going there
Cool.
and leaving sideways usually.
It's worth it. Yeah. So we'll all have to get together over there. So, but to close out this "What's in Your Glass" segment, Stephen, all I can say is thank you. This is really fantastic. Thank you for sharing Old Dominick's story. Thank you for joining us here on the show. And we've got more show to get into, believe it or not. And while we do, we're going to go ahead and continue to sip on whatever samples that we have left in our glasses. Just absolutely fantastic. So is there anything that you'd like to say before we segue into the next segment here?
No, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been awesome, man. It's good to meet you guys at Orlando Whiskey Fest. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again at Whiskey Riot.
Awesome. So now we are ready to go into the next segment, and you had said that you're willing to stay on, yes?
Absolutely.
Outstanding.
We'd love your input on some of the stuff that we're about to spew out.
So let me go ahead and introduce the next segment here. We have a recurring segment on this show, and in truth, it was inspired from other creators that I've seen in this space doing these things, and this is our Am I the Asshole segment. So we have a story that we go through, and we all get to kind of weigh in on who the asshole is. Usually there's a Kyle. Fuck you, Kyle.
Fuck you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
And yes, if you didn't notice, we do get profane sometimes
From time to time.
on occasion.
So the scenarios that we research tend to be bourbon related, and I think today's segment is going to ring for a few of us. So Lumpy, go ahead and take us away.
Well, thank you, X. So here's how it goes. Here's the scenario. My wife and I have been collecting bourbon together for about 2 years. It started as a hobby we could share. She got genuinely into it, learned the terminology, started picking bottles herself. About 6 months ago, a buddy of mine invited me to join a private bourbon group with monthly meetups. Single barrel picks, really serious collectors. I asked if I could bring my wife. He said the group has always been guys only. It's kind of the whole point. And it's not changing. I told my wife, and now she's upset. Not at the group, but at me. She said, if I join a group that excludes her from the hobby that she built with me, I'm choosing the bottle over the marriage. I told her it's not about her. It's just a guys group. And she still has full access to our shelf, and we still taste together. She says that's not the point. I joined anyway. Am I the asshole?
Ooh.
So that's a good one. So Stephen, you heard that. What is your take on that?
Man, that's you treading lightly on that. That's like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I get it. I get it. Like, I get both sides of it. I get it. Cause he's like, you know, why would you join a group that doesn't want women? Cause then you're being a part of the group that doesn't want women to be in it, you know, be involved. So you're kind of like, yeah. But he's like, well, I want to join a group. And man, I get it. That's a hard one because I guess, you know, my wife does not drink whiskey. I will make her a cocktail. She'll drink it in cocktail form. She does drink the toddy. Maybe the 85 if it's light enough. But if she told me that, I guess I wouldn't have to do it. But what I would do would be to maybe have her start a group of ladies and be like, you got your lady group. I've got my guy group. We're all good. Like, you know, or something like that. I get it though. I get it. That's a hard one, man.
So what would you do? Would you join the
I
group?
wouldn't go. I wouldn't go. No. I'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that. You can't cause strife, man. You got to, you know, if you can cut the strife out, then I would be like, no, I'm not getting involved in that. Sorry, guys.
Big Red?
I'll create my own group.
And I can understand that. Mrs. Big Red is a whiskey person, and I'll happily say that she is definitely among the 3 wives represented in this studio right now, the biggest whiskey enjoyer of the group, without hesitation or question, and the guys will happily agree to that. Like, mine is the reason that I got into whiskey to begin with, and that's a long story. But we, a long time ago, said, you know, even before we were married, but after we were married, we said we have 3 lives between us. We have my life, we have her life, and we have our life. This qualifies, and I think she would even agree with this if she was here, that this qualifies under the my life category. Like, she's not sitting in the studio with us right now. This is something that I'm here with X and Lumpy, and this is something that I leave the house and go to the studio for, separate from my family, my wife, and everybody in our house. Because she understands this is just one of those things. She's welcome to come if she wants to, but she understands this is time for the guys. So I think that there is... I don't think that narrator here is the asshole, because I think there is a time for people, regardless of how long you've been married or together or partnered up, regardless, whatever your situation is, you're allowed to have separate times together, like separate times, and you're allowed to have times together. I don't think he's the asshole, because I think if there's a guys group and it's one of those like no girls allowed clubs from the Little Rascals, that's perfectly fine.
Even woman haters.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's perfectly fine as long as she understands that's what it is. So I don't think he's the asshole.
So, fellas, I think we have a Karen.
That's a first for the show, I think.
It is. We don't have a Kyle.
Oh.
We have a Karen. So, gentlemen, I would agree with what Big Red said. There has to be separation of wife and state. And the state of whiskey is where it's at. And I kind of see her point. I think there's a certain level of envy that is coming along with that because, they both enjoy the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's now pulling himself away from it and not including her, which could be the catalyst there that's making things not so good in the partnership that they both enjoy together. So in a way, it's kind of a double thing. Like they enjoy whiskey together and he wants to pull away and go to his own group. So I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a tough one. I mean, I don't know. What do you got, X?
I would say that I agree with everyone's sentiment so far. So, Stephen, yours, of course, tread carefully. I do subscribe to, although I appreciate the independence that we have as men, happy wife, happy life. It does matter, right? I love what Big Red said, that in their arrangement, they have my life, your life, our life. And I think that has a lot of impact here because there are things you share, there are things that are rightly your own, and there are rightly things that are her own. And so I think that she's a little bit off base. I think that whether she's a Karen or not, and if she's saying that you're choosing bourbon over marriage, that to me feels like it's a little extreme. I agree that we are dealing with a Karen in this case, not a Kyle, and the narrator is most certainly not the asshole. All right, so we're going to segue into the next segment here. So,
It'd be awesome, man.
all right, well, Lumpy, we've got a verdict on who the asshole is. We are going to segue now into one of our most important segments that we get to talk about on the show. But before we do, give us a plug.
We always want to go in with one of the most important things. If you're struggling and you are thinking of ending it, we want you to make sure you're still with us here talking shit today. Make sure if you feel like you have some issues and you need to reach out to 988 is the number. That's the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. You can call, text, or chat. If you know someone who is in trouble and potentially could be there, give them that number. We need you here talking shit today. Again, that number is 988. It's a National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Call, chat, text. We need you here.
The world is better with you in it, we promise.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
And you're not allowed to quit. So, this is a great segue into our mental health segment. We've been lucky enough to be able to talk about this. And I got to say, gentlemen, and Stephen on the line as well, people have given us more feedback about our willingness to talk about the issues that are facing men's mental health than a lot of the other segments that we get into. So, and Stephen, thank you very much for staying on with us during this. We are going to start talking about anger. And anger is one of those emotions that men kind of have permission to show. And this is kind of enumerated, exemplified, shown as an example in a really great Pixar movie that I know we have seen. And Stephen, I don't know if you've seen it as well, but Inside Out. The movie Inside Out goes on and it revolves around this character whose name is Riley, and she's starts off as a baby and makes her way as to a preteen and then eventually a teen between both movies that are out. And anger is one of the emotions that are played in there. But one of the things that strikes me about this, and Pixar is very purposeful in how they do this, is that it shows anger as the dominant emotion in the father figure in the movie. And not just the dominant emotion, but in his head, whenever they go into it, it's kind of like NORAD. It is a military complex. They're ready to launch orders. based on the military chain of command where anger is in charge of everything. So I thought it was interesting that not only do we in society have sort of permission to show anger as opposed to sadness, worry, despair, even sometimes kindness is not looked at as masculine enough. So, but anger is certainly something that's associated with being male. So, what in your mind, and Stephen, maybe you can kind of kick us off here, as you think about the emotions that we get to show, what is it about anger that might maybe resonates with you that shows that this is something that men get the chance to show as opposed to other emotions?
And the thing about like men and emotions is we're not supposed to have any or show any, and then the anger. And I think what the part with guys is it's just, I know with my dad, it would build up. Like it wasn't just one thing. It was a series of things, and then the trigger would boom, and then anger, instantaneous anger. But I also feel like, and a lot of people don't know this, as we get older, and women go through it, but it's more known about menopause and things like that in women, but guys go through it too, where your testosterone drops and your hormones are off and things like that. And, I mean, personally, I've been through that where I've had that where I felt like horrible and angry all the time. And it's come to find out, well, just have low testosterone.
Interesting.
Let's just go get some gel and put it on and
Sure.
and balance it out. And to me, that has helped me a lot. But it's for guys, it's like I said, it feels like we just can't, show emotion, or we're not supposed to show emotion or whatever, and that may be changing now. As kids grow up and things like that. But just that anger builds up and then there's a lot of stress on men, and men don't really talk about it, and that's another thing. We just don't really talk about it.
Sure.
My wife will be like, oh, I'm going through this and this has got me, and I'm just like, she's, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm fine, I'm fine, or I'm okay, or whatever. And
we talk about that
know.
all the time.
We
Yep.
do.
We all know what FINE stands for.
Yep.
FINE fun.
Yeah. You okay? Yep, I'm good. Yep, I'm fine.
Yep.
And so then it just builds up, and then boom, an explosion kind of deal. Yeah, for me though, it was that, and then it just didn't feel right, and then got on the testosterone gel, and then and I'm not even scared to say that, but because it happens, and maybe people like my dad's age, when he was 82 when he passed away, and that was 6 years ago, people probably didn't talk about that with him in his 50s.
Sure.
And it wasn't a thing.
Well,
and now it is, and I think that there's ways to balance that out now.
Well, so I'm glad that you mentioned that. So I'm coming up almost on a year since my dad passed, and Big Red is much, much closer to when that happened. And Lumpy, I know you're a little bit longer from when I was on that. So we've all dealt with our dad's passing. I'm really glad that you mentioned the opportunity for hormones and how that changes our thinking, because I have also gone through testosterone replacement therapy, and I can tell you that since I have, things have felt a lot better for me emotionally, physically, in other ways. So that is, I think that's an important topic to normalize. So thank you very much for mentioning that, because I know a lot of people won't talk about it, or they'll feel like it's a taboo to talk about, when in reality, it's just part of our normal, not just mental health, but physical health. Also, I think that the idea of where we learn, there's a question that I saw that I really want to ask everybody here. And I think this is a very pointed question. I hope this invokes for the listeners a lot of self-reflection, especially if you tune in for our mental health segments and you also experience anger. For me, my anger manifests in the quick reactions to things versus the responses to things. And what I would rather do in most situations, especially if I'm not comfortable or I feel angry, is I would much rather respond to the situation rather than react to the situation. And when I respond, I am thoughtful. I get to choose what comes out of my mouth. I get to choose my posture. I get to choose what message I'm trying to send out. But when I react, I don't get that choice. And so for me, I fight to make sure that I can respond versus react to things. So, but Stephen, thank you very much for mentioning those things, because I think that where people feel like that's taboo or not something to talk about, it should be normalized. So, good on you for that. But the question that I have for everybody, who taught you how to be angry?
So I actually didn't learn how to be angry from anybody. In fact, I learned how to be angry from everybody. My family, and as everybody here in the studio, I'm the most recent member of the Father's Lost Club. Happened during the holidays, and it was a terrible time right before the holidays. But nobody in my family was particularly an angry person, and I think that reflects in the way that I express anger, because I am very much the quiet angry, and my wife has come to recognize this. There's really two kinds of angry. There is the inside out Lewis Black voiced, and I think that was a wonderful, perfect casting based on his history, anger, where fire explodes out your head, you're quick to react, everything is immediate, you react, you respond. And then there is the quiet angry, and I'm very much part of that. My wife realizes when I stop talking and when I stop responding, that's probably a very bad situation, a very bad idea, because that's the moment when you learn that I'm not in a good place and I'm not okay. So but my family was very much the anger is not something you show outright. Anger is something that you hide away and you don't let people see, and you just kind of, in a way, let it fester. So, which I know as a psychology major in college is never healthy physically or mentally. And for those of you out there listening, swallowing your emotions and hiding them and shoving them into a closet is never good. You need to let it out to somebody, talk to somebody, find somebody. And the guys here, Lumpy and X, have talked in previous episodes. Find somebody you can talk to and let it out in a safe place. But I'm one of those people who oftentimes won't do that. I will just kind of shut down, lock myself away, and be like, nope, I'm cool. Stop talking to me. I'll be fine eventually. So.
And I'll just jump in quick. I know that when that very dastardly, terrible thing happened in your life, it was the day of or the day after, I drug you away.
Yes. X refused to let me stay in my house quiet away. He actually came over to my house, grabbed me by my arm, and dragged me out and made me go outside.
Just like Lumpy came over as soon as I found out that my dad passed.
Yeah, and we talked about that in previous episodes. So
Yep.
you got to be there for the bros, as
Absolutely.
we call it. Be there for your friends. So, Steven, so what is your take on that? How do you handle it?
And I'd have to say, my dad was the one that taught me how to be angry. And I don't know if you could say that it could be genetic too, based on maybe family history of anger. Because I think my granddad, his dad was kind of the same way he was. But yeah, you got to let it out. I mean, I'm so glad. I'm going to say this too about you guys putting the suicide hotline line up there. I had a buddy that my neighbor took his life, and
I'm sorry.
that was like the craziest thing for us. He had a kid, he had a wife, he had everything. It's one of those things where you feel these people. You look on the outside and you see like, oh man, they have everything going on. Everything's perfect in their life, but we never knew that he would have done what he did, and anger. That was another thing that I think led him down that path, was angry. Just he lost his mom at a young age, lost his dad a few years before. Even something as simple as someone's dog dying could lead somebody down that path. If this is my dog. I had this dog when I was single. It was me and the dog, kind of a deal. And just, man, you got to talk it out. You got to let people know. You can't hold that in. And you're right though to say that you're worth it. There is no reason to do that. 100%.
Indeed. Well, for me, as far as the anger goes, I was a Gen X kid. I was raised in the 70s. And it was like, where did I learn my anger? Well, I learned my anger on the street. And if you grew up in the 70s like I did as a kid, the early 80s, I just showed my age, you didn't hold it in. It was like, if you had an issue, you get that shit out. And you get it over with. And you figure it out. My dad was a military man, so he was very disciplined. Unfortunately, he was a hoarder of feelings. He held things in until it popped. And I was not that person because I spent more time outside because this is, again, showing my age, pre-internet, pre-video games, all the shit that we enjoy and love today.
No records kept.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
No evidence.
Video was everywhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You still had to put dimes into payphones on the corner. So
He said dimes.
well, nickels, dimes, and quarters for a long distance call. But yeah, I grew up in that world that it's like I guess for the Gen X kids, you pop that shit out. It's like, if you got an issue, you got a problem, you're pissed, you get it out. You fight it out, you do whatever you have to do. And, I think for anyone out there who's of my generation, you understand what I'm talking about if you went through the same Gen X world, because it was one of those things, like, especially in the summertime, it's like, sun up, out the door. Back when the street lights came on, and you spent your time in the street. We drank from garden hoses that are now frowned upon. And, we learned how to get our feelings out. But don't get me wrong, as I'm getting older, I'm learning how to channel that anger and knowing when the appropriate time to pull it off. Now, I have my moments where, I have a daughter and she's a teenager. And sometimes I just full on shotgun blast my feelings. And it's tough because my wife is like, why did you say that? Because, well, that's how I was feeling. Am I supposed to hold it in? I want my kid to know, or my wife to know, I'm pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
If I hold my anger in, they don't want to see the outcome of that.
Sure.
That could be bad. And then I would regret every second of that. I don't regret instantaneous, I'm angry. Usually they're valid. Usually. Sometimes my wife shuts me down. It's like an IO switch. IO switch is instant on, instant off. But that's where I learned mine.
And I think that actually you brought up a good point. They don't want to see the response or the result. What is the difference between anger and aggression? Because anger is one thing. Does it eventually turn into aggression? And
It could.
Where is that line at, and what is the difference between those two? Because that is two very different sides of the same spectrum.
Sure. Well, let me add to that. I think that's a really great call out, that anger and aggression can be viewed in the exact same way, especially by the opposite of sexes.
Sure.
So, there's no doubt, and I'm not knocking the women in our lives or women in general. I do believe, though, that there are different ways in which the sexes see things. So when we think about ourselves as angry, especially when we feel that way, I don't think we enjoy it.
No, why would you?
I honestly feel like that is a stressor on us, and it's not something that we want. Like, that's, how do I say? It's not a place that we want to be at. It's not a feeling that we want to be within.
I don't like being angry, no.
Sure. Who does?
But the way that we express our anger often comes off as aggression. It can be intimidating. It can be viewed as something to be in defense of. I know for me, going back to the question of where did I learn my anger, A lot of places. My father was scared of a lot of things. He was clearly just outside the boomer. You know, he was a hippie. He was a, how do I say this gently? Motorcycle, coke carrying, hippie, gun toting person who believed that most people were out to get him. So he aligned with George Carlin more than he aligned with anybody else.
Okay, fair enough.
That tracks. Yeah.
So that's where my dad was at. So if you think of like, if you were to mesh George Carlin and Louis Black together in any of their stand-ups,
That was your dad.
that was my dad.
Okay.
Yeah, having met him, that tracks. Yeah.
So I would say that if there's anything genetic, like was implied earlier, then perhaps that's where I can get my anger from. But I also think anger comes from misunderstanding. And if you study, especially sitcoms or rom-coms or any like dramatic episode of TV that's out there, one of the biggest reasons that causes conflict is a lack of understanding and a lack of communication.
Well, men are not supposed to show sadness.
True.
So,
Right.
you know, the moment that a guy shows sadness, and we've talked about this in previous episodes,
Yep.
That's a weakness.
Sure.
So as soon as they get angry, it's immediately almost like aggression. We can show anger.
Sure.
That's our right. It's almost like we're expected to show anger but not show sadness or
Sure.
show compassion or show we're supposed to be
Sure.
the man. And then
So, yeah, I would say where I've learned my anger from is through all the experiences that I've had. Through the discipline I received growing up, through the experiences that I had with my parents. My father especially demonstrated a whole lot of anger, but I'm not sure that's exactly what inspired mine. Like I said before, mine to me is about reacting versus responding. And so I much rather respond to a situation, even though I'm not always good at that. So,
well, there's no guidebook.
there is no guidebook to it, and emotions are really difficult to manage. I think, Lumpy, you said it well, that you should be able to express how you feel,
Should.
whatever that is, and especially when you're in a safe place like with your spouse, maybe not with your children, but maybe also with your children, just depends on the circumstance. You should be able to express yourself plainly, clearly, directly, and not be worrying about how you're going to be judged.
Indeed.
So, but I would like to go on to ask this question of everyone. So the next time that anger spikes, and Stephen, maybe you've got some ideas on this right away. So maybe when the next time that anger spikes for you, ask yourself just, what is this actually about? And how do you feel like you can tell people how to kind of manage their way through that part?
Man, that's hard. I'm very reactive. Like, I am very reactive. And I think that, like you said, little upbringing on that too.
Sure.
Maybe by my mother, like maybe saying stuff all the time to us as kids. And then my wife says something, I'm very like, I can snap quick, like not snap like angry, but just be snapped back at her quickly and without thinking about it, just because I feel, and I've told her that, like, this is my mom. Like, this is because my mom would say something and then I would just react to it. You just gotta pause, step back, take a second to react, and then I'll come back later and go, or she'll ask me a question like, well, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And she takes it the wrong way, but I'm like, well, I just need to process this first before, and I react before I process. So, and that's, I don't know, that's difficult, man. It takes training. I mean, it's like working out, you got to work on it.
Yeah,
You
I
have
agree.
to build it up. It doesn't just come easy. That's something you have to train yourself to do because, like I said, if it was my mom or whatever as a kid and getting on to me and my brother, then that's where I get that at now. It's just, I need to respond quickly with something.
And I will give, before I start this, I will give full credit to this to Mrs. Big Red. This is something her and I have talked about, but this is something we learned in our studies. We're both psychology majors, though we don't use that now in our current lives. and this is something that all the viewers need to pay attention to. If you feel something is wrong or off with yourself, and it could be like you're feeling angry or whatever, HALT, HALT. And this is an acronym that a lot of people in the mental health space use. Stop and think. Are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Or are you tired? Is your reaction to a particular situation based on one of those things? Because you'd be surprised. I mean, as somebody who has a family history, and Mrs. Big Red has a huge family history of blood sugar issues, you would be surprised at how much your mental status can swing based just on entirely on how much you have or have not eaten. Diabetes and blood sugar issues can severely change your mental health and your status at the time. But stop and think about that. Is there a reason that you can clearly identify for the way you're feeling? And take that moment to halt and think, is this a true way I'm feeling, or is there something external that is causing this? And I have to do that regularly. And she routinely looks at me when I start getting angry, and she just holds her hand up in my face, and I immediately know, all right, I need to stop and think about, why am I thinking this way? Why am I depressed? Why am I angry? Why am I pulling back? Is there a reason? Something simple I can do. And I think that's something that men, women, everybody can. It's a nice self-check.
So that's a good point, Red. So there's a cost to holding in those angers. You know, there's chronic unprocessed anger, which can also track to things like cardiovascular issues, sleep problems, isolation. You know, your body is going to pretty much keep score on those things. So holding anger in provides its own catalyst for a mental health issue. So the question really goes out to all the listeners. Where are you? Where are you? Are you holding that in? Is that a good thing for you long term? You know, again, to go backwards to what we talked about with men having to be the rock, the strong person, and showing that anger is aggression when really it's just a feeling. Have your feeling. But if you hold that feeling in, what is it doing to you? And those are facts. Those are facts with the physical and metaphysical issues of holding that anger in. So we're not telling people to be angry. We're telling people to, if you have an issue, be about it. Do something about it. And if it gets to the point where it becomes an issue to the point where things start to get, becomes a point where, you're starting to have anxiety issues over speaking to your spouse or what have you, you have a right to your feelings. Say them. Don't do them. Say them.
So I would add to that, find your tribe, find your bros, talk with each other. Like we talked about with the suicide prevention hotline. It's okay to talk to somebody. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out and talk. And if you're the other person, you're the person that receives those talks normally and you don't hear from somebody, check in with them. Because when they say they're fine, then you say, what's going on?
Indeed.
So, Stephen, do you have any closing thoughts on this topic before we move on?
I think that you definitely are right about talk to somebody. Don't keep it bottled in. It's not good. Just find your bro, find your guy you can trust, and reach out to them. And even if you're sitting around drinking whiskey, talk about it. Just if you don't be scared to open up about it, because you can't keep it bottled in. Just like you're going to explode. That's the only way to do it, is to get it out, for sure.
Agreed. So we're going to pause here just for a moment. For all the listeners that have been sticking this close for this long, obviously we've talked about some great stuff, some heavy stuff, but let me go ahead and remind everybody, please go ahead. If you like what you're hearing, like, comment, follow, share, go ahead and follow Stephen. Make sure that you find him, find old Dominick, go ahead and follow what's going on so you can see how this is populating into the Florida market. If you happen to be in Florida or everywhere else where the Old Dominick is going to be. But also talking shit today. We're here for you. We are having fun. We're talking shit. We're here for your mental health. We're here for the bourbon dreams that you have. Go ahead. Just, share with your friends. But what I want to do also is I want to give an opportunity, maybe first, Stephen, to you. We are going to be joining you ourselves at the Orlando Whiskey Riot.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
And
Yeah.
I've got confirmation that Old Dominick is going to be represented by yours truly. So why don't you go ahead and give a little bit of a plug maybe for Old Dominick there and what you know of the Orlando Whiskey Riot.
So we will be there, or I will be there, and my wife's going to be there. Actually, I'm going to have her help me that day. And we'll be there, I think it's from 3 to 7. VIP is 3 to 4. And then the regular event is from 4 to 7. And I will have 8-year double oak for the VIPs. And I'm just excited to be there. We did Orlando Whiskey Riot. Next day we went to Tampa and did that one over there at St. Pete. That was great. Great response. I'm looking forward to it because it's going to get a lot more people. And then Orlando gave us so much love during the Orlando Whiskey Fest. And I'm looking forward to same love being shown over at the Whiskey Riot, though. It's great. It's a great time. They do a great event. Everybody will like it. I'll be sampling the Core 4 and the 8-year that day. So come on by. Say hey.
Yeah, quite honestly. So Orlando Whiskey Riot, for those that don't know, it's at the Central Florida Fairgrounds. It is on May 9th, and this episode will have been published by then. And we will be there with bells on, and we will be there to sample all of the distilleries that are there, but especially stopping with Old Dominick. Stephen, I am just blown away for the fact that you're going to be there. And yes, if you're going to get a ticket, get a VIP ticket. First off, it's worth it. I don't care what Groupon's telling you. Go ahead, get your VIP ticket, get in there an hour early, and make your way quickly to the Old Dominick table, because if you don't, I promise you, Lumpy and I are going to drink everything that they have for their VIP pours.
Because Big Red won't be there.
I was about to say, y'all make sure that you have an extra drink of especially that 8-year for me, and I look forward to finding it on the shelf since I won't be there.
So, Stephen, can you give us an insider's look at what you're going to have at that festival? Is there something special that we should know about?
So I'll have the 8-year for the VIPs. I only have one bottle. So first come, first serve on that. Once that is gone until it comes back out in August. And that is something that we don't keep on the shelf all the time. We release it. I don't like to say allocated. It is a limited release.
Okay.
Allocated has just come across as the negative thing. But we do limited release annually, and they're going to bust some more cases out this year before more than they did last year too. So it went pretty fast last year when we dropped it on the markets through Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas. It did not last long at all. And then a little bit got to Texas too, I believe.
So you make sure you share. Yeah, you make sure you keep at the very least one pour for General X and Lumpy, please.
Yes, I will. Come by and make your way to there quickly. Because I don't do big pours there. I do small pours. It's such a big event that, you want to taste a lot of stuff. And there's no sense in getting tore up from the flow up on the first table. And we want to,
That's a good one. Tore up from the flow up. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So come out and taste the 8-year. You won't be disappointed for sure. I'm looking forward to it. And you can follow me on Instagram and on the Bourbon Snob and at That Old Dom Dude. On the Bourbon Snob, I'll do other things besides Old Dominick. But at the Old Dom Dude, I will just do nothing but Old Dominick stuff.
Right on, right on.
Love that. So as we make our way to the end of the show here, Stephen, I want to give you an opportunity if you have a toast that you'd like to go through for the folks on wherever they're listening to the podcast and for the folks here in the studio.
Man, I don't have a toast. You put me on the spot.
That's okay.
That's okay.
What was that one that 4
I got
reasons
one.
put on the bottle? hope I gracefully aged as good as bourbon does. I think that was a toast that Four Roses uses at one time on their single barrel. So I'd say that.
Hey, we're recording, so we can edit this however you want. If you'd like to do that, go for it. Otherwise, we have a few to choose from.
I've got one for you.
Go ahead.
To a 160-year-old story, a guy calling in from Florida and 4 idiots with microphones figuring it out in real time. This is exactly what's supposed to be. Cheers. Talking shit today.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I like that. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. As I sip on my final sip of the single barrel.
Right on.
My goodness. Well, Stephen, thank you very much for joining us for the show. We have had nothing but a great time.
Absolutely.
You're a fantastic guest, and you're a great ambassador for your brand. And let me just say, besides your ambassadorship, this brand really speaks for itself.
It rocks. Dude, that's awesome.
Give it the shot, and I promise you won't be disappointed. Don't let the price point dissuade you. Don't let low prices think it's low quality. You will be severely wrong.
Socks
correct.
will be knocked
100%.
off.
Great product, man. Great product. Thanks for being
Thank
here
you.
today, brother.
Thank you.
All right.
Guys, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Yep. So we're going to close there. Stephen, thank you so much. The amount that you sent us is going to go to great use.
Oh, for sure.
It,
100%.
it already has, and it will continue to do so. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had fun.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Steven.
All right, sir. You take care. Have a great night. We'll be talking again real
All
soon.
right, thank you. You too, guys.
See you, buddy. Have a good night.
Good.
Night.
Thanks for talking shit with us today. Hey yo, thanks for talking shit with Lumpy and X. Breaking it down till there's nothing complex. Riding the beat as we close the show. Catch you next time on the late night flow. Spin the dial, rewind the tape. We keep it real, this ain't no escape. Laughs and truth served raw, not sweet. Mic drop, Lumpy and X bring the heat. Hey yo, thanks for talking shit with Lumpy and X. Dropping truths and making you reflect. We out like a jammer, smooth and slow. See you next time where the convos glow. Words in the air as the beat fades out. Lumpy and X, that's what we're about. So keep it locked till the very last say. Thanks for talking shit, we out today.